November. The year always flies by so fast.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it. It's November already. How? It's not possible.
It's
But
almost your birthday, Kyle. Are you excited for birthday?
Yeah, my mom has already asked me for my Amazon wish list, even though it's the same link that I send her like every single time.
Can't figure out a bookmark.
Right. Yeah, it's like it's in our text just a little ways up from when you asked me last time. It's the same link. But yeah, man, it's been a wild week so far. I have another Mountain Dew Voodew 2022. We'll reveal what that mystery flavor is in a little bit. Tumblr has brought back the titty. Wild stuff is happening this week, Melissa. But last week here on the podcast, at the very end, I promised that we would start this week with a Spider-Man dance party. So that's what we're going to do. Get ready. It's Spider-Man dance party time. Spider-Man dance party, Spider-Man dance, Spider-Man dance party, Spider-Man dance. Yeah. There you go.
Good.
Spider-Man dance party to start off November.
I feel like this is the start of a theater class where we like shake ourselves out and do like body movements
you have
in our
to
soft
do
clothes before we get down to work.
And stuff like that to get ready to podcast. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is number 212, a palindrome, here on the Whatnauts Captain's Log. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how was your Halloween? How did your monster fantasy giraffe thing go? Tell me about it.
I have the results of the monster fantasy draft.
Nice.
So some weeks ago on the podcast, I enlisted your help in helping me name 50 or more monsters. I think we came up with like 68 of them because I was planning this game for my office Halloween party, where we were going to sort people into teams and give them like a big list of monsters as suggestions. And it was going to lead them through a fantasy draft of their ultimate monster squads. So let me tell you the teams that people came up with.
Yes, please.
And like I said, I told them these are suggestions. Add more of your own if you want. This is just a starting point. So one team had Pennywise, Beetlejuice, Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove.
Interesting.
To clarify, this was monsters or villains. So we've got non-monster villains and non-villain monsters. This is a wide-ranging draft. Then they went for Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is a very good pull. He's very
interesting
scary.
One, yeah.
And finally, a classic, the Joker, Heath Ledger version.
That's a good group of monsters and such.
Their name was Team Clown Adjacent.
Yep.
One team drafted Jason Voorhees, the Loch Ness Monster, which you talked me into putting on the list. So that one's for you.
Yep.
Jigsaw, Norman Bates, and Casper.
Good stuff. Good stuff there. Speaking of Casper, I actually just kind of watched that the other day. My girlfriend wanted to watch it, and I fell asleep halfway in, but I saw like the first part and like the very end. Those CGI graphics hold up.
I think so. I also just watched Casper over the weekend. Casper is still very fun.
Interesting. Yeah. Good stuff.
I think it's funny that team drafted Jason Voorhees, a boy who died in a lake, and the Loch Ness Monster, a creature that entirely lives in a lake. So I feel like that would open up a lot of trauma for him. But also you've got Casper, a fellow
to
dead
console
kid.
him, yeah.
Right. I think Casper's really going to help Jason through this. I think they're a good match. Another team drafted Cthulhu, Vecna from Stranger Things, an alien and a predator. And then they topped it off with Dr. Victor Frankenstein, They were thinking about Frankenstein, and they're like, no, we get the doctor. He can keep making us monsters. If you draft Frankenstein, you get one. If you draft the doctor, you could have infinite Frankensteins. And that's so smart.
There you go. Yeah.
And
mad scientist.
Finally, this was the team that my coworkers, that my immediate department drafted. I was not on this team because I was running the game, but I was very proud of their picks. They went with Dracula, the birds from the birds.
Good stuff, yeah.
The Uruk-hai orcs from Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
The Teletubbies. And I had to make a judgment call. And I decided, yes, you can have all four in one, but you can't also have the Sun Baby. Sun Baby's separate. They only wanted the Teletubbies.
The Sun Baby feels like the good guy in the situation. He's always the one bringing the warmth, always the one like shining a light. You know, it's a new day, all that stuff. Whereas the Teletubbies themselves, they're getting tubby custard everywhere. They're screwing things up left and right. They're just a problem, right?
See, I think Sun Baby is ominous.
I mean, you're not wrong, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a villain or a monster.
Right, yeah, maybe they're a portent of something bad to come, but they don't mean anything bad themselves personally.
Right. Like,
we don't know.
Like,
we don't know the motivations of Sun Baby.
Like before we started recording, you and I were talking about like, what if Winnie the Pooh was smart enough to like be a beekeeper, make his own honey? What if he teamed up with Paddington and ran a successful like marmalade and honey business? And you were like, I don't think Winnie the Pooh is like smart enough to do any of this stuff. Like no. he's just a problem in that. Like if Paddington was the competent one to make start the business and do all of this, the only thing that we could question his competence in is why he hired Winnie the Pooh to work for him. But let's say it's circumstances were out of his control, right? And so he has to hire Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh is just gonna cause mischief the entire time, like, but unbeknownst to him, like he's not like actively like I'm gonna quit
he's
my
not
job
a troublemaker
and like do all of this, right?
Right, he will stumble into something, which is something Paddington also does. But I think Paddington has the sense to kind of clean up after himself, and I don't know if Winnie the Pooh does. I think Winnie the Pooh is strong, like he looks like he can lift things, and I don't know if Paddington can do that. So maybe that's what he's there for. He's just there to lift the boxes of jars.
Yeah, something like that. But that's how I feel like the Teletubbies would be. It's not that they're like evil or they're actually monsters, but like they're just, it's nonsense and mischief wherever they go, and it's a wreck.
Yeah, Sun Baby's running the show.
Yeah,
but the final. No, not the final in terms of their 5th round draft pick. The final one that I'm saving to tell you. Final monster that my team drafted was the tire from Rubber.
Yeah.
With no prompting from me. One of my coworkers, this was her own idea. She has seen this movie of her own volition. I was so proud.
Perfect.
I'm like hovering over the shoulder of the HR manager who's making the list of like everybody's teams that we can all vote. And I'm like, Robert, his name is Robert the tire.
That's great. That's awesome. I'm glad it was a success. Sounds like you all had a fun time.
I think so.
Good stuff with that. My Halloween was pretty good. We bought some candy. We had a bunch of trick-or-treaters come by, stop by the house. We now have a good gauge for about how many people come to the house and stuff. I think we need to buy a lot more candy.
That's so good. I'm happy to hear that trick-or-treating is thriving where you are.
Yeah, it wasn't so like it wasn't overwhelming of like, oh God, there's so many. What's going on? It was like, okay, we bought a lot. We were really only giving out 3 pieces to each kid, which is not much at all. But we were quickly like, maybe we should reduce that to 2 per person, and then like maybe we should reduce this to 1 per person, which really sucks. But it's still just like, oh, we're running out of candy so much faster than we thought. But we had to end up like turning off our lights and stuff at like 7:30 because we had already run out. But it wasn't constant, but people came in pretty big groups. There'd be like 7 or 8 of them all at once, and so it was just like
squad.
Yeah. So
any
that was
cool costumes?
Good.
What are the kids doing nowadays?
I saw all sorts of stuff. I saw some Stranger Things stuff. I saw Spider-Man. I saw a number of younger kids who were also just like, they're a fairy, or they're like a generic vampire or stuff like that. It was a good mix. I don't think there was one thing that stood out that was like, oh man, everyone is this thing. So it was good. And while we did that, we also put on in Elvira movie. We watched Elvira and the Haunted Hills is the one. So we did that. Halloween was good. It was a success.
Nice.
We had some fun. We ended up carving a pumpkin on Sunday, the day
What'd
before. We chose the carving utensils we got had a booklet that came with it. We picked one of those. It was a spooky, dilapidated, haunted house with a tree that had a face. It was a scary looking tree on it. So that was that. It was fun. It was good.
Trees don't normally have faces. That is scary.
Yeah. They sure as hell don't.
Kyle, I want to tell you about a scary thing that happened to me.
Well, before you mention that, I do want to at least open up this
do it
here, so we can open it up and discuss what the flavor is. I've not looked to see what the flavor is yet, but this is my second time having a Mountain Dew Voodew 2022.
Now, let me ask you. You did have this a couple weeks ago. I don't remember what your guess was for what it tasted like. Did you like it enough that you chose to drink it again because of the taste, or is it just let me have a second try at guessing this?
Kind of both.
Okay.
Like I wanted to have another one because I wasn't sure of the flavor. I think I ended up on like a blood orange. And what I was going for with that is like, you've seen people eat like a grapefruit or something where they just have like the whole half of it and they put like sugar on it and stuff, and they just eat it with. It's that kind of citrus. It's not orange in the like, ooh, this is like Fanta, like Sunkissed, like orange soda. It's not that kind of citrus, but it has that real like tart sourness to it. So that's what I was thinking it would be. But as if you guys are watching the video version of this, as you can see, Mountain Dew Voodew 2022 is white. It's like translucent a little. It's opaque, right? It's not see-through, but it's
ghost colored.
Yeah. Good old ghost color. So I was thinking a blood orange, but that being said, I think it is time for us to open up the Mountain Dew Wiki.
Hello,
the answer is here.
Indeed. Okay, so I have Mountain Dew Voodew 2022 pulled up here, and it says, Administrator's Note. Here's a note from the active admins. The mystery flavor has gotten revealed to be a sour candy flavor, often compared to Sour Patch Kids.
Oh,
interesting. Speculation clues. Let's see here.
I feel like this happened last year, or at least sometime previous, that the secret flavor was something very vague and generic. I swear it's been like candy before.
Yeah. There was one that I think that was, it was like a Smarties type of candy that just like real sugary candy. But it says clues here. When it was first released, some fans found a fascinating discovery. When you zoom into a pumpkin in the cemetery on the label, a Sour Patch Kid can initiate burning as the candle of the pumpkin. Where is it? I'm trying to see.
So there was a Sour Patch Kid shaped flame?
I think so. Oh, yeah, I think I see. You guys aren't going to be able to see it on my screen. It's really, really tiny. But there is like a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin on the label. And the candle that's inside of it, the like orange part of the flame, is supposedly looks like a Sour Patch Kid.
I gotta see this. Let's see if I can find a good picture online. That makes it better to know that it is like not just it's sour candy. No, like a Sour Patch Kid, but there's a specific like Sour Patch symbol hidden in there, a hidden brand.
The other clue says one clue is from the Voodoo Grim Twitter account, posted a photograph of themselves on a table holding a sign signifying they are a big fan of Fran Casey Dolvuro. I don't know who that is. Once you unscramble the text, it reveals to be sour candy flavor. Interesting. So they had their own little word scramble thing there. Sour candy. Yeah, that makes sense. To be honest, I'm kind of disappointed that it is that like generic, just like sour candy. It's like, so it's just like sugary sour soda. Like that's it. Whereas if they had gone something with like a blood orange, that fits, right? It's like that real tart, sour flavor. And it also would have fit in the theme. It's a blood orange, right? It's Halloween, spooky.
Not an uninjured orange.
I feel like I was close. Like I got the right like flavor palette down, but I was also just completely off there. So, oh well.
Man. if they did like a Smartie before and they did a Sour Patch Kid now, they gotta expand their horizons. Those things are too close to each other. You gotta get way out there. Do like, this one is caramel flavored. How do you have a caramel soda? Or weirder. I want them to get absolutely buck wild. This one tastes like ribs this year.
Right. It just tastes like meat.
Meat.
Good stuff. Okay. Yeah, I just had to get that out of the way so I could start sipping on that. But Melissa, you were about to tell me a story.
Yes. Spooky. So it's Saturday night and I'm driving home from spending the day at my parents' house and it's like 9:30 p.m. Late, but not that late. And I'm driving down the highway and these cars keep zipping past me. It's going unnecessarily fast. And then as I get closer to my neighborhood, and I live off of an area that has a lot of office parks in it. Just office parks, office buildings, assorted warehouses, stuff like that. That's what I drive through to get home. They like took the exit with me. When I'm taking this exit from the highway, there's like a backup that I was not expecting. I'm like, why are there so many cars going this way? This is not
Something
like a major
thoroughfare. Yeah.
At non-business hours. There's so many of them. And like, there's nothing specific about the cars. These weren't like muscle cars or anything. They look like just average, like recent sedans. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like a Honda or something. But still, zipping. They're going so fast and I can't tell what it is they're trying to go for or like how many of them there are they in a pack? Is this a coincidence? Are people just in a hurry tonight? Or are all the fast cars in a group with the other fast cars? And like I'm pulling up at a stoplight and like this one car like zips right between me and another car that was like catty corner me in another lane. A dangerous maneuver. I was very startled. And then I see all of them take a turn and drive into the back of this lot of office buildings. Just a huge crowd of unnecessarily zippy cars going towards one who knows what office park. I don't know what's back there. And like I said, I think there's one
wild.
gym, but like that doesn't help explain it. I don't know if all the cars are going to a gym any more than they're going to an office that's closed. It was so eerie. Like, I just don't know. It was scary in that I was just very confused. I was so worried one of them would hit me. They're just zipping past me so quickly at such a tight angle. It was like, I don't understand. Is this something ominous? What does it mean? It's 9:30. How much crime? Can you get up to anything nefarious at 9:30? If I saw this
for crime.
Right. If I saw this at like 2:30, I'd be like, okay, yeah, this is a street race. You know, this is Fast and the Furious nonsense. But I don't know if they do that at 9:30. So I wanted that's what it reminded me of. Like, is this what it's like to just be a civilian in the Fast and Furious universe? To just have those people rush past you and you're like, where are they going? Am I in danger? Is there an event?
That's kind of interesting. Was there like nothing on the news? Did you like check if there was something happening in like local?
No.
No.
Am I supposed to watch the news? I'm not my parents. Am I going to tune in and be like, too many fast cars in an office park at 9:30?
Sometimes if I see something big happening like that, or just like a shit ton of cop cars out somewhere, like I kind of expect something like that to be on the news, whatever the event may be, of just like, there was something happening. I wonder if the news caught wind of this.
And then there were no police cars, no law enforcement, no, I don't know, searchlights. You know, sometimes there's an event, like there's a grand opening, there's some party, something, there's searchlights that they put up in the sky.
Yeah.
No. I'm like, it was big enough to really make me think about it for several days, but small enough that I didn't think, surely this must be on the news. But I wanted to ask you, thinking about how this must be what it's like to live in the Fast and the Furious universe and how they're just trying to like save the world, stop Kurt Russell, steal VCRs, whatever it is they do. But it's like terrifying for this to happen next to you. If you're a civilian and they just all drive past you like that. Is there another movie you can think of that is not a horror movie, but for one bystander would be a horror movie?
Yeah. So I was trying to look at or think about some of this stuff because I saw you put this in the doc about an hour or so ago, and I was I'm struggling to come up with like a specific like good example of like this one from this other perspective. Man, that movie would be a horror movie. But I think the way you described it helps kind of broaden that scope, that it doesn't necessarily have to be a horror movie, but just the fact that like you have no idea what's happening around you is kind of the scary thing there.
Yeah, like for the protagonist, it's like we're just saving the day, but for like the person in the same environment as them who doesn't know them, it's confusing and scary.
I think any kind of movie that has a scene on a train, right? Some kind of moving transport where they're stuck on there with you. So I'm thinking of like the action movies, spy stuff. Like we just watched Bullet Train.
Yeah.
Now, they kind of manipulated things in that movie so that most of the cars they were in didn't have civilians in it.
Yes.
Right. But like I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but there have been other movies like that where like someone is just sitting down minding their own business, and it turns out the guy like 2 rows up is like America's most wanted criminal, right? And like a whole bunch of like cops swarm and descent or some action stuff, right? They're a secret agent. There's a fight on the train. Who knows, right? It'd be scary to be in James Bond to see his car like whipping through all of those narrow alleys and stuff like that. Just what is going on?
If you just saw Jaws, if you just saw that giant man with metal teeth just walking around your town, you wouldn't know what to do.
Exactly.
Imagine if you lived just in the next building over from a John Wick.
Just like catching strays, right?
No, but just like you just hear a bunch of gunshots, and of course they sweep everything under the rug. It's all like a secret underground stuff. So you hear all of these gunshots. You can't track it down. There's nothing in the news, and you're like, did I hallucinate that? What were those noises?
That's kind of funny. That reminds me of. So the Punisher is a comic book character that hasn't ever really sustained like an ongoing series for that long, right?
Yeah.
And one of the ways that some people like to write him is that he is less of a character and he is more of a force of nature, right? He is this thing that happens to people, just like a tornado or a hurricane might just happen one day. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. Like you live in the building across the street, and then all of a sudden John Wick is in that building, and just gunshots nonstop, explosions. Some guy gets thrown out a window, right? Like just nonstop, and you're just like, what is happening? What is going on?
What if you live next to the McAllisters and on Christmas Eve you hear all of this screaming and you're like, honey, do you hear the screaming? And your beautiful spouse is like, no, dear, the McAllisters are all out on vacation. There's nobody in that house. Nobody can be screaming.
Yeah, that would be interesting, but yeah, to just like it'd be like Rear Window, but like instead he's like watching these two robbers like try to break in this house and just completely sucking at it, and like they go back behind the house. They hear some like smaller explode, like nothing like big action, but like some loud pop or something, right? So some screaming, and then the two guys walk back out, and they're like covered in feathers and stuff, just like walking around. Like, what is going on?
What if you saw that? Yeah, what's your Christmas day like after that?
That's actually not a bad idea for a movie. Like a Rear Window, like, but they're just watching something else happen.
Let's remake Rear Window, and what he's watching is also a remake of another movie. What if there is a neighbor to the McAllisters who hears all that screaming, and then they like learn the story, like, oh yeah, they accidentally left Kevin here at home, and then these burglars tried to get him. And then he did those things to the burglars. Like, are you scared of that boy? Are the neighbors scared of Kevin McAllister now?
Yeah, right? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like my initial reaction was like, yeah, they'd be scared. He'd be like, he can do all this stuff. He's smart enough to. Yeah, but then. At the same time, it'd be like, no, he protected their house. Like he did the right thing. Like
exactly.
I'd be okay. Like I feel like the neighborhood is safer. That Kevin McAllister lives in my neighborhood.
Proud neighbor of a Kevin McAllister, say all their bumper stickers.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like the neighbors they either think Kevin McAllister is an absolute menace and they cross the street when they see him walking around, or they're like, Kevin, when you're like 12 years old, will you babysit my kids? Yours are the only hands I trust to watch over my children. I know you're not going to let anything happen to them. And then teenage Kevin's got this booming babysitting business.
What a turn of events. That's funny. That's funny. I was also thinking of like MCU stuff of like the Infinity War and Endgame when Thanos does the snap, and just normal people like there is probably some news coverage of what's happening on there, but just to not know the exact details of this stuff, and then all of a sudden people just start like evaporating, and like that'd be horrifying.
What has not yet been followed up on is when that ego egg starts bursting out of the little Missouri town in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Like, what is the tale of the people who were working at that Dairy Queen and then an alien thing just suddenly started growing at them?
Exactly.
What's their life?
Exactly.
And it's unexplained. Like, those people, they've never gotten an answer. That's like separate. Like Peter Quill, he doesn't know that's happening. These two parts of the story are entirely unrelated. Nobody knows the other part is happening. Those Dairy Queen employees are not getting answers. They're never going to.
Yeah. Goodness. Yeah. That's interesting to think about. I was trying to look up movies that are like, what are movies that aren't horror movies but actually are? And they were giving me all sorts of like weird ones that I've never even heard of or stuff like that. And I'm
love the idea of Googling a not genre. Like, please give me a list of movies that are not scary. And it's like, I don't know, Charlotte's Web, All the President's Men. What do you want?
But like, not just like, what movies are not horror? You have to go a step further.
Horror.
Right, yeah. All of them except the horror movies? No, but like it was like, what movies aren't horror but actually are? Like you have to specify that. And there were like there were lists out there of movies that like, these aren't horror movies in like the conventional sense of what a horror movie is. But thinking about some of the things that happen in this or stuff like that, they are horror movies. But it wasn't in the same way that you're thinking of, like, man, what about the civilian in Fast and the Furious, right? As he just sees these cars like drifting by him, and it's just like, whoa, what the hell?
What if you saw the baby have its day out? And you're like, that baby shouldn't be there. Where is that baby's parents? And you don't know. Do you call the police? Who do you call? What do you do? Is that baby okay? Maybe you never know. Maybe you spend the rest of your life haunted by seeing a baby get up to antics it shouldn't have gotten up to. And you're like, I don't know if that baby's still alive.
Wild. I don't know. I
don't know what actually happens in Baby's Day Out. I don't know what specific antics he gets up to.
Does
he like crawl around on a construction site? Yeah, you have your day out, your day off. There's no such thing as a day in.
Yeah.
There's days in the motel chain, but that's different.
There you go. I don't know.
Now I need a sequel called Ferris Bueller's Day In, and he's just an incredibly sad, introspective adult man.
He's the one that sees Kevin McAllister doing all of this stuff.
They're both in Chicago, the extended Chicago verse.
You know what? He's just sitting there, rear windowing it, just spying on the neighbors.
That's a day in. If you want a John Hughes movie where a kid has a day out, you watch Ferris Bueller. If you want a movie where a kid has a day in, I don't know if you can beat Home Alone.
You really can't.
Kevin McAllister's Day In.
You really can't. Here's an odd one that I don't know why this just came to mind here. Rugrats in Paris is kind of a similar thing to the like Home Alone, where like the babies get loose on this adventure. They all go off on that, but imagine this from the parents' perspective, that they lose their babies, and it's not just like one parent loses their baby.
Yeah, they all get lost.
All of them. Yeah, like that is a more like there's something going on here. Like there's a conspiracy. There was like a serial baby kidnapping. Like,
if you live in the world of Rugrats the movie, they've turned that into a 9-part true crime series. How did those babies get lost?
It's a great idea. Gold. That is amazing.
I feel like we've hit upon the theme. Any movie that's not scary that is suddenly scary from the bystander's perspective is any movie where a child is doing something they're not supposed to. And you see a child doing something they're not supposed to.
Exactly.
Kids in peril. That's it. That is the scariest thing.
So funny. There you go. I think this is a great time for us to take a quick break, do some housekeeping. And then when we get back, we got a few pop culture news things to get through, and then potentially looking at some of our favorite movies and stuff so far of 2022. We have our Rotten Tomatoes movie game coming up at the start of December, so just kind of a quick look at like what ones we still need to catch up on and stuff like that. So we will be right back. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and a thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/The Whatnauts. And we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you'd like to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. All right, and we are back. A big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Thank
it means
you.
a ton. We appreciate it. Just today, the day that we are recording this, November 2nd, I put up our Pilots Club for Mystery Incorporated. This is a fan-made live-action adaptation of Scooby-Doo. Very like CW Riverdale take on the Scooby-Doo and Hanna-Barbera mythos. I actually had a fun time watching it. So
yeah, I have thought about it since the time when we stopped watching it. Like, gee, I wonder what they will do next.
Yeah. So we watched the pilot of that. That is up for the $3 supporters. We love that Pilots Club show. And then Melissa, we got one more to do in December on Smash. The pilot for Smash is the one that you so
thank you for remembering the title. Yes, we will be watching the musical comedy series Smash.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I only know it by reputation. And I was trying to describe it to Kyle and how you feel about Riverdale being hot garbage, but it's your favorite hot garbage.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say that's how people felt about Smash.
Interesting. Good stuff. Cool things that we've been up to here at the Whatnauts. Of course, all last month was Spooky Month on the Whatnauts review show. our weekly book club style podcast. So we covered all sorts of horror movies, some horror comics, a horror show. We got some new things, some old things, some we ran the gamut here on all things horror.
New and old, the two types of things.
Yeah.
We talked about them both.
Yep, we sure did. It was a lot of fun. So go check all of that stuff out. We just put up our episode on the Twilight Zone. That one is our most recent one. Of course, our next episode of the review show will be on Kaiju Max Volumes 3 and 4. So get excited for that. That's our end of the month special. Well, I guess since it's we always change it up a little bit in November because we like to do all spooky stuff in October. So start of the month is Kaiju Max here in November, and end of the month we'll be wrapping up our Kaiju Max coverage with that. Here on the Captain's Log, of course, last week we did our Halloween tradition where we took old stories from the past year here on the Captain's Log, and we twisted them into scary stories. And that is always a blast. And we were in costume. So go check that out. We were. I was Pizza Lord. It was great. And then, of course, on the Reactor Core, we have some new trailer reactions up on our YouTube. We have a trailer for 1899, which will be coming out shortly. Here, that one is actually doing pretty well on YouTube. I think that one is a very anticipated show, or at least on YouTube for us.
Oh, does that come out like next first episode, the 17th?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's in like
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah. So that's cool. We are getting ready to record our next Star Wars Andor reaction. So be on the lookout for that in the near future as well. I am absolutely loving that show. It is so good. But yeah, that is about it for housekeeping. So let's get through this pop culture news stuff that I think is noteworthy and stuff we should bring to attention. Severance has added Gwendolyn Christie, Alia Shawkat, and John Noble to season 2.
What good news.
I'm so excited. That's great.
I've been smiling about that all day. I so look forward to seeing John Noble again after we watched all of Fringe in such quick succession this year. He feels like a family member.
He does. To continue in the non-comic book realm here, The Last of Us is premiering January 15th, and season 1 will be 9 episodes. I am stoked for this show. One of my favorite video games of all time, one of the most popular video games of all time, period. It's going to be great. Melissa, I don't think you'll like this show.
No, not for me, but I'm happy that you're going to have a good time.
I'm so excited. But yeah. And then in DC Comics news, they announced that James Gunn, and there's another guy involved there. He's doing more of the business side. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but this was kind of the name that everyone was attaching their like headlines to, is that James Gunn is taking over DC Studios, at least for the next like 3 to 4 years. Here, he's basically gonna be their Kevin Feige, is essentially what it is, which I'm okay with that. But I feel like this like 3 to 4 year contract, I hope that it's a like, let's test the waters and see how he does. And if he does well, I hope they extend that, because they said that he would still be doing one of his own projects. So that might be Suicide Squad 2. Might be something else, we don't know, but then he'd be overseeing a handful of other projects. But if he's only there for 3 or 4 years, right? Like that's his movie and then overseeing maybe 2 other things. there. So it's not much, but it's a start.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I hope
hopefully things go well with that.
I hope it's a productive couple years. I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. Those were both real impressive piece of works. I think everybody enjoyed Peacemaker way more than they thought they would.
Oh, yeah.
That show had a lot to offer.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think the strongest things at DC right now, for me at least, I haven't caught up with everything. I love Suicide Squad. I loved The Batman. And also I loved Shazam. And but those three things feel very different from each other.
Yeah.
So I hope that I want things to feel a little bit more consistent, but also I do want the outliers that are really thriving, like The Batman, to not have to be reined into a house style.
So Matt Reeves, from what I understand, Matt Reeves kind of has a blank slate to do what he wants with the Batman stuff.
I like that.
So I don't know. I don't think that's going to be brought into anything that James Gunn does. I think that's all going to be separate stuff. But I didn't have this written down. Henry Cavill, who plays Superman, was also playing Geralt in The Witcher, has now dropped out of that show, which is really unfortunate because he was great in that role. I think he wanted to be more he wanted his character to be more talkative and have more lines like he is in the books that show is based off of and the video games that are super popular. They didn't really want that. And then with James Gunn taking over DC, he's been talking things up online, being like, I am ready for a new Superman movie. I want it to be like the most joyful thing you can think of. Like he's like, I am like, let me talk with James Gunn. So I think that's kind of maybe partially why he stepped down there. That's just me speculating. But yeah, I hope that goes good. All that said, I did go see Black Adam when it came out. And Melissa, I have not reported back to you.
You have not.
This movie was a mess, but I had a pretty good time with this. I was actually pretty surprised. That being said, I went in with really, really low expectations. I don't think it was spectacular or anything like that. Like I said, it was a mess. But it was kind of fun. And there's some really, really interesting stuff. And Melissa, I think especially since you liked Shazam and Shazam 2 is coming out soon, I think when you can, you should go see Black Adam.
Okay, thank you. I was hoping to have a personal recommendation from somebody who saw the film. So now that I have that, I'll find time for it. Yeah, there's a couple movies out right now that I want to get out and see.
Yeah. When we'll get back to movies we still want to see in just a sec. Last but not least, the Marvel stuff that we mentioned. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II has been confirmed as Wonder Man. I know a couple weeks ago it was rumored that he would be doing that. Joe Locke, who is the star of a movie called Heartbreaker, I believe, or a show. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with this guy.
I'm not familiar with this person either.
Joe
now
Locke
what do we do?
Joins Agatha Coven of Chaos. Many people are speculating that he will be an older version of Wiccan, like a teenage version of Wiccan. So something to keep an eye on.
When I saw this in the notes and it said Joe Locke, and I've never heard of anybody named Joe Locke, at first I thought you meant John Locke, and by John Locke you meant Terry O'Quinn, and I was real excited for a minute I would get to see Terry O'Quinn again.
Yeah, no, I think he'd be he would fit.
Get him in somewhere.
Yeah,
he's very good.
Speaking of Agatha Coven of Chaos, this is something I saw just an hour or so before we started recording. Reportedly, Aubrey Plaza is joining the show as a villain, which I think could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Sounds like a good match for that world. Nice.
Indeed. William Jackson Harper, you guys might know from The Good Place, has joined Quantum Mania. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was also rumored like a month ago or something like that, that he had joined the cast. So I don't know if they're just announcing that he's in this and they hadn't previously. Who knows what? But there's already all sorts of wild speculation as to who he could potentially be. I don't have any real clue as to one that's like this one. That might be the one here. We shall see. And then they also recently announced that Paul Bettany will be returning as Vision for a Disney Plus show entitled Vision Quest.
Obvious.
So going to be good to catch up with Vision.
That's nice. That's new. We've always known at some point we're going to see Vision again, but we haven't known when. We thought maybe he'll show up in Wonder Man because there's like a comic book connection there. But I don't think anybody was thinking, here, finally, the Vision exclusive show. Nobody was thinking Vision gets his own show. This is a fun surprise.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's interesting because now they have WandaVision, Vision Quest, and Agatha Coven of Chaos, which are all very loosely related, right, to one another.
Get me the Jimmy Woo show next.
Yes, I need it. I need a Jimmy Woo show. I think that'd be fantastic. But there you go. Last but not least, Melissa, Venom 3 is happening. They're making another one.
Yay!
It's getting a new director. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's been one of the people writing the first two. So she's getting a chance to direct this one. I still haven't seen the second one, but it's on my list.
It's fun.
So on my list of things to watch. Speaking of movies that we still need to watch and stuff like that, this is the thing that I was mentioning before, Housekeeping. Yeah. Melissa, what movies have been your favorite from 2022 so far?
I have been making a list. It is my goal by the end of the year to make a list of my top 10 new of 2022 films. My top 10 films that I watched in 2022 that are new to me, but could have come out at any time. So I've been working on my list, and I've really been trying to watch movies that came out this year. I don't want my 2023 list of movies that are new to me to be movies that I should have watched in 2022 when they actually came out. I'm trying to stay on top of stuff. And I don't know if there's anything real high towards the top of my list that you haven't already seen.
Yeah.
I think my number one on the list might be Nope so far. There's things I want to rewatch, things I want to really sit down and think about. I think Doctor Strange is up there. I had a lot of fun with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I think the movie that I've enjoyed the most this year that I know you haven't watched yet might be X. I recommend X.
This is so funny that you mentioned this because someone in one of the Discord servers that I'm in just recently tried to watch it and hated that movie.
Oh.
And it was so funny because they're like, so I picked up this movie X. It said it was by A24. Didn't realize was from them. Immediately rolled my eyes because I don't like their movies. They're slow. They're artsy. They're this and that. And then she was like, yeah, the movie was just so slow and it was weird and I just wasn't into it. So she was like, don't watch X. And I was like, that's really funny because I know someone who was like, go watch X now. It was great.
I don't know if I'd call it slow, but I think it's very purposeful in its pacing. Sure. And it's a movie that definitely has the twist, not a twist, but the turn to where the movie has not been a slasher movie. Now it is a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Now is when it starts.
Yeah, that's what she was kind of hoping for, being like, I just wanted a regular slasher.
No.
And it was like, yeah, that's not exactly what that is. That's interesting. X. There you go. I'm looking at my list. Things that I think have been up there, and my favorites, of course, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. I loved that. That was fantastic.
I gotta give that one a rewatch. Yeah, Triple R was amazing. A movie I put on my list initially because that movie truly showed me things I never thought I would ever see. But like, I haven't thought about it specifically very much since I watched it, but I think that's because it's a long movie with so much going on and it's just overwhelming. Like, my brain's like, I can't handle too much RRR. You got to set that one down. I don't have the space for that right now.
I'm also like consistently reminded of it whenever I check our YouTube, because the YouTube short that we made of that is our most viewed video by an astronomical amount. It is just
Thank you, India.
It's in another galaxy of how many people have watched that one there. But then also Top Gun Maverick was real damn good.
Top Gun Maverick's great. I am holding off on considering Top Gun Maverick or Bullet Train for my list because I watched those in like really intense, really immersive, really fun theater going experiences. So like I would have to see how they play for me at home before I think about putting them on the list. I got to give Top Gun Maverick a rental for my home TV and see how much I like it then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The only other one I have marked on here besides Nope, which you already mentioned, was Amsterdam. And we already kind of talked about that one. Like it's one that has stuck with me, but not because it was like it wasn't the best movie that I saw by a long stretch. It was just so perplexing to me, the mix of stuff that went into that. Not that I was confused about what happened in the movie, but just everything in and around it was just like, this is just kind of fascinating that this thing exists. It's wild. So,
it's a very messy movie, but it is a fun time. Like I was never bored. I never checked out of it. Like it's pretty engaging for the length of time that it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. Are there movies that you have missed that you still want to go back and catch up on?
Oh, yes. Let's see. I want to see Pearl, which is the prequel to X.
Okay.
I won't say more about that until you have watched X.
Interesting.
I still haven't gotten around to watching Turning Red. I don't know when I'm supposed to watch like a kids and family movie. Like, I don't know what night do I do that? What mood am I in for me, a 32-year-old woman, to like watch this movie for 12-year-olds by myself? I don't know when that is. You just kind of have
to go whenever you want. There is no right time.
Like, I kind of want to show it to my mom. Like, I think my mom might like that. But something about watching it with my mom feels like further regressive. It's like, what are you, a kid? You don't have to watch a movie
if you
with
go
your mom
watch
anymore.
that with your mom and that's your mom's response, I would laugh so
are you,
hard.
A baby?
Yeah. God, Melissa, you want to see Turning Red? What are you, a baby?
No, I just feel like if I go like watch a Pixar movie with my mom, I might as well also have footy pajamas on and be sucking an applesauce out of a little applesauce tube. And that's a perfectly fine night, but I don't know if it's the time I want to have right now.
Don't make fun of how I spend my nights, Melissa.
I have hard time. I don't make a lot of time for a lot of young adult entertainment.
That's
because
fine.
I feel like I spent
fair.
Enough time there. And I'm like, no, I'm 32. I want to be 32. I want to watch things for 32-year-olds. But I do want to catch up on that one. People had such positive things to say about it. And it's right there on Disney Plus. It's very easy for me to get to. It's not like I have to go hunt it down at a Redbox or something. I've been using Redbox this year because you can rent a movie for just like $2 when it still costs like $6 or something to rent it digitally.
Yeah. Good stuff. I completely forgot about Turning Red. The ones I was thinking of, there was that Netflix movie Blonde with Ana de Armas. That's out. It was their first like NC-17 rated movie or what have you. Would still like to check that one out. I probably won't get to it this year, but it's on my list of like, I want to check that one out.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a movie I want to watch all of, but I'd like to see 15 minutes of it just so I can see what that performance is.
Yeah. What else was I thinking of? There was one that came out recently that I was looking at my local theater. They don't have it. It's the new, I think is it Bong Joon-ho's newest one? It's the Decision to Leave.
No, is it Park Chan-wook's Decision to Leave?
Yes.
Yes, I was listening to a podcast about this yesterday.
If it's Bong Joon-ho or Park Chan-wook. So yeah, I was I also am see that one so bad.
I also am intrigued by Decision to Leave. I have been like following an Oscars Watch podcast. I'm keeping up with these. I went to see Tar in theaters a couple weeks ago. Trying to see these Oscar buzz movies when I can. Tar is an upsetting art movie where Cate Blanchett plays a maestro.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. Weird.
But like there's a movie coming out called, and I hear about when all these movies are coming out, and then I realize the people doing this podcast live in like New York or LA and they get the movies ahead of me. Like, oh boy, I can go see Banshees of Inisherin. No, I can't. Banshees of Inisherin doesn't come out here for another 2 or 3 weeks.
Right,
I have to wait. But I want to catch
probably
these
also
things.
Have like press credentials so they can get in those like early screenings. And
no, well, they've done the festivals already. They've done the press screenings, and like the movies are released in bigger cities. Like maybe if I was in Chicago, I could go see these. Or maybe once our Alamo Draft House opens up. I don't know, but we don't have them here yet. I think maybe this weekend I could see Banshees of Inisherin. I want to see it soon. Glass Onion is easy to watch. Being a Netflix movie that was just being released in theaters for like a week or two to get Oscar, qualification. I didn't know if it would be easy to see. No, it's at like most theaters. Yeah. We've got tickets already. We're going to go see Glunion. That's our Black Friday activity.
Of course. I
guess
with the ones that are just about to come out, of course, Black Panther, because duh. But yeah.
So we are coming up on our Rotten Tomatoes game, which is one of our yearly traditions. First week of December, we make predictions as to the Rotten Tomatoes critic score for like a list of 25 movies that are coming out over the next year. We do it from December to December. Mm-hmm. And then we go over our predictions from the past year and see who was closest. So I checked in on this yesterday to refresh myself on what were the movies we even talked about. And it's strange to think about the movies that made a big impact this year that just weren't on our radar when we made this list. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once is not on here. Bullet Train is not on here. Elvis is not on here.
Yeah. Interesting.
And there's other things like, I still get around to seeing Fantastic, or like I still have to get around to seeing Turning Red. Will I watch Sonic 2? I don't know.
I'm not going to watch that one. I haven't even seen
If somebody tells me to, if somebody wants to watch Sonic 2, I'll be there, but I don't think I'm going to watch it just by myself with a glass of wine. I don't like Sonic that much. I guess I'm going to watch Morbius.
Oh, that is one now. I still have to catch up on.
Right, it's there on Netflix. It's very easily accessible. I don't have to pay for it. Morbius is right there should I need a doctor's care.
So I want to watch Venom 2 before I watch that one. I don't know why. I know they're not like exactly like you have to, but I'm just like, I let me watch Venom 2 first. Then I'll inflict myself with Morbius. Right.
You could save Venom 2 for last as dessert. It's probably going to be a much more fun time.
Probably.
Treat yourself to a little Venom too as a treat. Yeah, I guess it's a lot of movies that like I was never planning on seeing. Like, I don't need to see Uncharted. I don't need to see Fantastic Beasts 3. But I guess the only ones on this list that I feel beholden to watch, maybe it is just Morbius. Maybe I just have to watch Morbius sometime in the next 5 weeks, and that's my one assignment. And then get out to the theater and see Black Adam. I want to see Halloween Ends. Yeah. Maybe Smile. I don't know if I can still catch Smile.
There you go.
This isn't content. This is just me trying to hash out a to-do list.
That's content. That's content. I'm okay with that. There's still some ones that I want to catch up on. I won't get to all of them, but I do really enjoy our Rotten Tomatoes game. I think seeing what ones we do have on our list, or being reminded of them, maybe we do start needing to pay attention to like what directors are putting stuff out there. Because like I like seeing an Elvis movie. If I'm just scrolling by, I'm gonna like not pay attention. But then when you say, "Oh, it's Baz Luhrmann," I'm like, "Oh, okay, might not necessarily be for me, but he's a director to pay attention to, so maybe we can put that one on our list, right?" So maybe there's some directors that we just need to like check in on and see like what's happening with their what ones are being released this next year.
That's how Nightmare Alley got on last year's list for the Rotten Tomatoes game. I'll let you know if I hear about any interesting things coming out. Like I said, I'm listening to these award show watch podcasts, so I hear about things a long distance out.
I saw something today that apparently Terrifier 2 has been submitted for some kind of like Oscar something, and the creator was just like, you know, if nothing else, I just think it's hilarious that they're gonna have to watch this movie now that it's even in the like that's the thing. Like I'm just like he was just like, I'm just happy that they have to watch it. I know it's not gonna win, but they have to watch it.
I have been thinking about that with the amount of movies that have gotten big buzz this year, like real cult followings behind him. Like there's talk about, can Top Gun Maverick get into the Oscars conversation this year? Everything Everywhere All at Once seems pretty firmly in there as like a possible contender, or at least
as
for
it
acting
should be.
awards.
Yeah.
And they're like, is somebody going to try and get Barbarian in there? Is somebody really going to push for best original screenplay Barbarian?
Yeah, you never know. There was a lot of people that loved that one.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one that I never watched that also came out this year. Prey. The
I also
Predator
have not watched Prey
prequel. Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, but it seems like a movie to watch like in a group of people. That's honestly what keeps me from watching a lot of movies, is I think, oh, it'd be fun to watch that with other people. It'd be fun to watch that in a group setting, at a party. Let's all have popcorn. Let's all yell back at the screen. And if that opportunity doesn't arise, it just takes me forever to get to that movie on my own.
Interesting. Maybe does your trivia night thing have like, hey, we have our fall season, and it like stops at a certain time, or is this just ongoing? Like
forever.
Every single week?
I do this forever now.
Forever? Okay, cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you had like an end of the season or something like that, like if you had like a vacation time, just be like, we're gonna do a movie night instead. One of these nights here.
I don't have that kind of allowance over the space. I can't shove the trivia aside and be like, I brought a projector.
Well, no, don't shove the trivia aside. I'm saying, like, after your season is done, which I know you guys
There's
don't do.
Season.
I know you guys don't do that. I'm saying if you did, like that could have been something you suggested of like, what if we just do a movie night to celebrate instead? Like now that the season is done, like having a pizza party at the end of a kid's soccer
right. This is not like school after you've taken the map test and then your teacher lets you watch the Recess movie and she orders pizza. We don't do this.
I know you don't. That's why I'm saying you could suggest it if that was a thing, but not this universe, apparently. Oh, man.
I just think it's funny that you're imagining that my trivia has seasons, like it's a sport, like it's football or something.
Well,
and
I mean,
it's
like
over.
the holidays are coming up. Like, are as many people gonna be coming out because it's holidays? Like, I don't know. So maybe you guys are like, all right, we end our season in the middle of November. We'll be back in the new year.
No.
And then who knows?
No, it's forever.
Forever. There you go. Well, I say we should wrap up our podcast right about there. This has been a good, fun one this week. I had a blast. Mm-hmm. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, show where me and my brother James talk about weird old kid shows you feel like only you remember.
There you go. And if you guys want to follow me, I am at YoKyleSpringer on Twitter. And of course, if you would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton. If you guys are watching the YouTube version of this, we got some more videos right over there for y'all to check out. This has been number 212 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. We will see you all next time. Bye.